What's up, everybody? I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and welcome to another The Right Mindset lesson for today. Uh, what are we going to go over? We're going to go over themes and of a narrative's novel. What? Themes in a narrative? Themes in a novel's narrative. And so what is it? So things we're going to go over is what is a theme and its purpose? Do you have to have a theme? And how do we discover a theme in our narrative? Let's hit that intro. Well, here we go. So today's lessons is themes in a novel's narrative. And before we jump into it, obviously, if you're a beginner or an advanced writer, author, or screenwriter, whatever, click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss out. For those jumping on for the first time, this channel goes over lessons about our craft as writers, analyzing and reviewing story and narrative, how to break it down. And of course, there are plenty of interviews with other fellow writers to show you that you are not alone. Let's jump into it. What is a theme and its purpose? Not porpoise, purpose. What is its purpose? Porpoise. A theme is a central unifying idea. It's the bigger issue that emerges as the character pursues their goals. A theme is less about what people do in a story, their goals to achieve or find the missing relic in a narrative. Basically, a theme is less of it's not so much like they are going after the sword of destiny, but the underlying message being conveyed throughout the narrative of their quest for getting the sword of destiny. So, the things that they learn, the trials and tribulations that they go through, there's something deeper going on. And let's say it's a guy, it's a couple, and the couple are in love, but they're going after the sword of destiny, but they have a falling out for whatever reason. Maybe they're miscommunication, or somebody does something to make them dislike each other, and they can't get to the sword of destiny. But then when they come together and love prevails and they get the sword of destiny, it shows that connection, love can overcome anything, and loyalty is looking beyond what we see and hear, and finding the truth in the actions of the person they are, not what others say. Themes. The purpose of a theme is different for each writer, but ultimately, it's a message they are trying to convey in their works. Now, to pop it out there, it's not always intentional that we're like, hey, I'm going to write about this theme. But I will say our voice as a writer develops natural themes. So there are certain things we like to write. Like, for example, I say it often, I like to write about teamwork and people working together to overcome things. Selflessness is more rewarded in my stories than selfishness. I believe in loyalty. I believe in love. I believe, so these themes are always there that, that somehow make it into my stories. And you might not say, I have a theme I want to write about. You might just write a story, and over time, you will realize that you have repeating themes, which is not a negative thing. It's just, Stephen King is Stephen King because he's Stephen King, right? But I will say, when I say the purpose of a theme is different for each writer, and its message that they're trying to convey in their works, it usually refers to one or more elements of a writer's brand. Like I'm saying, it's your voice, right? For me, as I said, but also I like found family and how people accomplish things together. And so I'll make sure that victory unites, victory through uniting as one is where they're going to find their greatest strengths, right? But I also believe in being honest, and the more honest the person is in my stories, the greater their return. Now, a theme is usually connected to the protagonist's internal journey. It brings the protagonist's passions, their concerns, and the external plot together. This helps give the reader something to root for, care about, and think on. It happens naturally where a theme presents itself, but what about a missing theme? Now, the thing is, the lack of a theme could contribute to the protagonist not having a goal to strive for, an inner purpose. You could look at it as a narrative without a soul, as the plot goes nowhere. Themes do add that extra element to a good story because it's ultimately, there is a big difference between I want to buy a car because I'm turning 18 and it's going to be my first car, versus having a theme that represents them working their ass off, their parents not giving them money, but the parents are really like just trying to get the kid to work and like earn it. And then there comes a certain point where the kid reaches half the amount and the parents go, we are going to cover the other half. And it shows that hard work leads to success. Now that there's some compelling, there's conflict there, there's lessons, there's learning, right? So it becomes more of a compelling story. And it is in the themes of our narratives where readers relate to the characters, their struggles, and become invested in the outcome. Even if it's on the underlayer of the story, it doesn't have to be a theme that's in your face. You don't have to be like, hey, this is about love, this is about friendship. But it's through those themes that we see develop in the story that allows us to connect. And keep in mind, you can have more than one theme in your narrative. It doesn't have to be like this story and this narrative is going to be a plot and story based on one theme, and that theme is going to be victory through perseverance, right? But now you might be asking yourself, do I have a theme? Do I? Well, you're a writer. And you don't have to do anything you don't want to, but if it's the work you dread doing, know that themes present themselves during the brainstorming or writing process. You'll naturally see themes within that story structure and within that brainstorming, and they will stand out naturally. But what is the difference between plot and theme? Plot is what happens in a narrative. Story is how it happens. And then theme is Gregory the Brave fights ogres, goblins, and slays the dragon to win the freedom of his kingdom, though he dies in the process. That is the plot told through the story of the narrative. And the theme is, it's a story about love and honor for your people and dying for something bigger than ourselves. Okay? What does this all mean? A plot might be what happens, story is how it unfolds, but the theme is a narrative's way of establishing the why of the story. Theme drives the story and creates the plot. The why is important. With that said, no, you don't have to put a lot of thought into it. But it is good to see if your narrative has a full plot, story, and theme filling up the pages. Just like a plot, you might come up with an idea. Two men fall in love while trapped on the mountaintop. The story becomes more defined. Two men are cowboys who are hired by a rancher, and over the course of 20 years, they are tortured by their love as they both marry women. Through these circumstances, they discover a real connection. The story becomes the details and how it unfolds, okay? So the themes are the overwhelming natural forces of desire and love, the endless shifting of the world. Now, I'm not sure the writer sat there and said their theme is going to be the overwhelming natural forces of desire and love. I think their goal was, the plot is I want two men to be in a circumstance where they fall in love. How will I create the story? Let's create details. Well, they're cowboys. Well, how did they get there? Well, the story suggests that they get there through being hired as ranchers. And I'm going to allow the story to move over 20 years. And then the conflict is going to be that they both marry women, and but they really find their true connection, etc., etc. And now, as they write the script of that movie, Brokeback Mountain, they're going to show their development, and that is the story. That's watching it unfold, right? So how they react to things, their choices, etc., etc., is all story. Now, when you can see all these, all three elements working together as a complete understanding, your story gains a strength to it. Think of these three elements as foundation, your walls, and your ceilings. So the plot is the foundation. The walls are sort of like the story, and then the ceiling becomes your theme, and altogether you're protected. So now you might be saying, well, Tom, how do I discover my themes, right? So this is how you discover your themes. You can do it before you write your story. Yeah, that's right. Think about the why of your personal reasons to tell this story. If you have a message or philosophy that you've always implored in your life and want to convey or express that idea, well, then write it down. Maybe you have a stance on something and would like to show the pros and cons of it, because even though we might believe in something, it's good to see both sides. Now, themes can take a moment to discover. It is not common for writers to sit down and ask themselves these questions where they develop a theme. That's why I say that you don't have to think about it as they naturally develop through your writing process, through the discovery. Why is it important to figure out the theme of a story then? Well, after your first draft is finished, it's important to clean up a story by seeing if it has a plot, story, and themes. Think about the deeper meaning behind the narrative. Now, each genre has its own common themes. Crime narratives usually touch on good versus evil. A dystopia narrative will show loss of individualism. An epic adventure, maybe the power of self-resilience. Romance, love. Romance will give us a look into love and sacrifice. Science fiction tells us about technology versus mankind. Anyway. Young adult narratives usually showcase the coming of age stories, a desire to escape, etc., etc. If you take time to analyze and understand the plot of your narrative, your character's motivations, and how the protagonist and the antagonist push off each other, and the overall effects of how the narrative's plot will have over all the involved characters' lives, this particular exploration of your story will expose the meaning of it. Once you have taken the time to understand the meaning, it is highly possible that you will find the theme. Now, if the theme comes out to be what you didn't want to say, you could always work the story until you find that it fits what you like. Now, final thoughts, because, it's that time of the video. I've never been one to spend a lot of time on themes before I jump into my brainstorming session. I personally don't even think about the character's plot or story when I first sit down to explore a story. That's right. I like to think about moments, things that could happen, character exploration through trials and tribulations. Basically, I like what would be an interesting environment of conflict between one or more characters. And I put them in that situation. And from there, I develop and build on there and allow the story or the plot and how I'm going to tell that plot through the story to develop the characters and, who they are. And I like this because obviously, well, not obviously, but as I'm discovering the story and developing the story, I'm seeing characters make choices to do or not do, say or not say. And through that, I'm developing their personalities. And as they make choices in the story, not that they're being sucked through me through the ether, but as I'm seeing those characters make choices because I'm interested in it, I'm interested in challenging those choices. I try to maintain a consistency in their choices. However, sometimes I'll go against their consistency in moments. And what does that do? Well, it helps build a developing arc. It helps create the character's movement and growth. But anyway, so before I really get into it, all before I give a lot of weight to any one thing, I do like to explore that concept. I like working that. And once I begin seeing the value in a plot, character moments, or any element in general, then I put a lot of time into those particular elements. And from there, I will start to see a story unfold through the plot, and therefore I'll have a narrative, and to make sure that I'm saying something and that it's coming through, that something deeper is there, I'll start studying the theme of my story. And basically, as I develop my narratives, I will pay attention to where it is heading, and if I like where it's going, I'll maintain that emotion. As I continue to brainstorm an outline, I will stop and turn things when they don't match what I want it to be. This goes for my themes too, from plots to story. If I don't like something, it's okay to stop and change it. We're writers. In fact, you could write the whole friggin' book and then throw it out and be like, I gotta read. I don't like where this went. But why are themes even important? Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you. The same reason a plot and story are important. One, keeping your book on target with where it's going. And two, when you're marketing your book. When it's time to market your book, the better you understand it, the more themes stand out, etc., the better you can market your book to a specific or broader group of people. Believe it or not, when going to agents, publishers, or selling to a target audience, themes will play a much bigger part in the story. You can't sell a story that doesn't fit the genre, niche, or audience. Imagine writing a romance novel that focuses on themes of world domination. Well, that makes the romance in the book a subplot, not a main plot, because there are rules to genres. Yes, world domination can be a second theme, but if love and passion aren't the focus theme, it might be a different book. So you can have a romance story in a world domination theme, but the romance has to be front and center, which again is fine. But if you go to a romance agent or publisher, they will probably look at it with crossed eyes. Okay? All right, anyway. You know you love this. We're having fun. We're having fun. All right, next video in this series is... the next video in the series will focus on Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's. All right, we'll learn how to identify them, how to fix one if it turns out it's in our narrative and we didn't realize it, and what makes them weaken an overall narrative. Ooh. Okay, so question. What kind of themes do you like to write or experience in stories? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you watched, and but you haven't done it all, if you like what you have seen, but you haven't done so already, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. And as always, you got to keep developing that right mindset. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye.